Everybody, welcome back to the Jordan Report, and I'm your host, Robert Jordan. Everyone, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Okay, guys, you'll notice that the Democrats are very good at thinking up things, but they never think through. They never think through to see what this stuff actually does. Like alternative policing or reimagining the police or defunding the police, stuff like that. They never know what that actually means, and this is why they come up with stupid stuff like this. Let me show you what they're doing up in Seattle. Seattle pays an ex-pimp $150,000 a year to offer alternative to policing. An ex-pimp. Listen to this story, guys. Seattle now has on its payroll a convicted pimp, once vowed to go to war with the city, a $150,000 a year street czar whose mission is to come up with alternatives to policing. Andre Taylor, who appeared in the documentary American Pimp, about his life as Gorgeous Dre, is getting $12,500 per month for a year, along with an office in Seattle's Municipal Tower. It comes just a year after his organization, not this time, was paid $100,000 to sponsor a speaker series that was called Conversations with the Streets. Taylor led one of the first rallies in Seattle after the police custody death of George Floyd. He was later accused of trying to get millions from the city for militants who set up the controversial Chop Zone. Don't just leave with something, he told the activists in a meeting caught in a recording, telling them to demand $2 million to exit the site, much of the city's worst violence of this year, the report said. He was trying to get them to demand the city give them $2 million to end the Chop Zone. Okay? They ignored his advice, the paper said, with one saying the money grab felt off. So he's just changing his targets. He's still a pimp. He's just changing his targets, okay? Now I'm going to show you the local news and we're going to get out of here.
On the city payroll, he's been hired as a so-called street czar, theoretically to help de-escalate tensions between police and protesters.
But not everyone thinks Andre Taylor is the right person for the job, and there are also questions about his six-figure contract.
We have team coverage tonight, including community reaction, but we start with Matt Markovich with some details about this hire. Matt?
Yeah, this is a first for Seattle, a street czar, a position that Andre Taylor made up, and he says the mayor agreed. It's a $150,000 one-year contract.
During CHOP,
violence is being brought to this place.
Andre Taylor, one of the most visible police accountability activists in the city, came there to de-escalate tensions. But he was chased out by demonstrators, accusing him of being on the city's payroll. We're now learning he was about to. A week before that shouting match, the city signed their portion of a contract for $150,000 a year to Taylor's organization, not this time, to be a street czar, the city's first.
What is a street czar?
I know the term street czar is quite provocative. So a street czar is a person that has a particular genius in a particular area.
For Taylor, that genius, he says, is his experience at de-escalation and a go-between the city and others.
Having sit-downs with gang members where they won't sit down with anybody else, and pimps and prostitutes and people.
You see, is that your role as the mediator?
I'm broadening it out for you.
Taylor says it's a continuation of a $100,000 a year contract in 2019 for a speaker series his group put together.
No one raised any questions about the $100,000 that the city gave us for Conversations with the Streets. And we are kind of bewildered that people are now raising an issue about $150,000 for our de-escalation efforts that we've been doing since my brother Shay Taylor was killed. It's amazing to me. It's a non-starter and a non-issue.
In a statement, the Department of Neighborhoods says Taylor's role will be to assist the city with de-escalation and community engagement, as well as provide recommendations on alternatives to policing.
Me as a black man have the right to be paid for my genius or for whatever my organization can provide. Black people as a whole have not been in a place to be compensated for their genius or their work for a very, very long time.
We asked the mayor's office to respond to our questions. The office referred to me to the Department of Neighborhoods, which did not answer our questions. Taylor says he's looking forward to the job. He'll be considered an independent contractor and consultant to the city. In Seattle, Matt Markovich, KOMO News.
All right, guys. That is absolutely bizarre.